Okay, so I'm going to take you through sort of step by step how to create a Stonely guided tour and then how to create the trigger to make that guided tour appear on the website. So the first thing you want to do is when you log in to Stonely, I'll give you the login credentials. You'll see a bunch of this stuff. On the left-hand side, you want to go down to Strategy Finder. Here, I have a sample one. You're going to go up here to Add New, and then you're going to select Guided Tour. You're going to give this a name. I'm going to do leaderhall test and build manually. Okay, so then you come in here and we're going to do step 1. You obviously name this whatever you wanted to name it. Test step 1 content. I'll show you how this is going to appear in just 1 second. Media. So here you can add an image or a GIF, a preset icon. We've been doing image or GIF, which is really nice. I'm going to record a separate video on how you create GIFs really easily on an Apple computer. If you have a Windows computer, I unfortunately won't be able to help you with that. But I'll show you how to do it really easily on a Mac computer through an app. I think it's called Giphy, but we'll get to that in a separate video. So here you would do upload image or GIF, I'm sorry, but because we don't have one, I'm just going to pick a preset icon. You just pick one. Again, we're not going to spend a lot of time here, so I'm just going to press save. Here's where we get to where this guided tour is going to appear on the page. So you want to add a highlighted element, and then we want to select it on the page. So now we come in here and we want to select the leader hall domain here. We don't want the whole thing because we want it to be on all of leader hall, right? So you just want to get leaderhall.chat. Actually, you want to just do it after the pound sign because that will be all leader hall URLs should show up there. I'm going to go ahead and open that. And then from here, you have this little window down here. You can directly select an element here, or you can navigate to try and find the element you would like to select. So I've navigated there, and now I can come here, and if I wanted to create it on the cancel button or the create room button, I could do so. So I'm going to navigate back away from here and just do a sample one here. I'm going to select the leader hall logo here. Now you're going to do this if you're doing an FAQ tutorial or a drills or calculator. You'll navigate to that page and then drop it where you want to drop it. But just for sample, I'm going to put it here on the leader hall logo. Here you get to create the border color. I've been doing red just because it's a nice bold color that stands out. And I like the width of 2, 3 is a little bit more bold, obviously. How big do you want it? How small do you want it? Things like that. So we leave it here and I'm going to go ahead and hit confirm. So now this guided tour is going to appear next to the Leader Hall logo over here. Oops. Come here for the pound. Oops. All right, well, you saw what it was. So next to the Leader Hall logo. So now, where do you want it to display? So we've highlighted the element of where it should go. Now we have to say what we want it to be. Do we want it to be a modal, which pops up just in the middle of the screen? Do we want it to pop up on the bottom right-hand corner, or do we want it to pop up next to the highlighted element we just highlighted? And in most cases, we're going to want it to pop up next to the highlighted element. I tend to select the light version. I just think it's a little bit cleaner of a look, but you can do it however you want. And then you come in here and you add your next step really easily. You don't have a next step, so you have to create a new step. And so I'm going to say step 2. We're going to create the step. And then you want to do, you can either create a guide button here called next and save it. Or you can do a UI interaction. So you can say, do you want the user to select the next button, or do you want the user to click a UI, a button in the user interface to go to the next step of the guided tour? And that's up to you. If you want them to select a button on the screen, for example, in this case, the logo, if you want pressing the logo to take you to the next step of this guided tour, you would select the highlighted element, right? And if you click the element, then it will take you to the next step. Or you do a guide button, and you label it next. It'll take you to the next step. So we'll do that for now. And then the way I do it from here, everything is saving automatically. So what I do is, this is really a neat tool to kind of go faster, is once you create where you want the guide to go next, you just go to step 2. And then it takes you right where you want to go. And then you start building step 2, sample test to sample step 2 content. Again, you'll add media. We're just going to go through this so we can build a really quick 2-step guided tour. Just put a different, I'm going to put a different icon in. Again, you're going to be doing the GIFs, the highlighted section. We want to do it on the page. So where does the guide take us? So we want to, it remembers the URL. So we're going to go back into the leaderhall interface. And remember, the first one is going to show up here. So where do you want the second one to go? So in this case, we're going to say that we want the second one to pop up next to send a direct message. Okay, so we're going to select this, and all of your information that you put in last time is remembered. So you're just going to simply confirm. And when you come down here, you're going to select where you want the guided tour to appear on the highlighted section. And I'm going to stop there because we could repeat this 3 or 4 more times and go all the way through 5 or 6 steps, but you get the idea here. So we're going to go ahead. This is sort of step 1 in the process, and we're going to go and publish. So we're going to save and publish. And remember, this title is called Leader Hall Test. So now how do we make this appear on the page that we just put it on? So we go here, and now we go into, so we have our guided tour here under Strategy Finder, the Leader Hall Test. Now we go into widgets, and we're going to create a new trigger. Okay, so a new trigger, and this is going to be a, let's do a clickable element. So when you click something on the page, the guide starts. Okay, you can do a hotspot, or you can create an icon that shows up in, I think, the bottom right hand corner of the screen. There's several ways you can do it, but in this case, I'm going to do a clickable element because I think it's the most integrated approach, and everything else is sort of a step back from that. So we're going to select clickable element, and we're going to do URL starts with, and we're going to do the same thing we had before. So every time we have this, it's going to show up, which is great. No, I'm sorry, the URL is this, because we only want the guided tour to show when the URL, hold on one sec. We only want this particular guided tour to show when this exact URL is showing, because remember, the guided tour is going to show up here, step 1 is going to sort of show up here, and then step 2 is going to show up down here. So we only want it to appear here. So we're going to take the exact URL. The URL is this. So when that URL appears, the guided tour is going to appear. Which UI element do we want to click to start the whole thing? Okay, so we're going to open up the page we want it to appear on, and I am going to select the logo. Okay, so we're going to we can do anything. We'll do the logo because it's easy, and that's where the first guide is going to begin. Okay, so we're going to do this, and this is where we click to start the guided tour. So we're going to confirm that, and we're back in here. And then which content do we want to display? We want to go select the guided tour, and which one do we want to show? We want to open up the strategy finder, and Leader Hall Test is the one we just built. So we're going to save this, and we're going to enable it. Let me quickly turn off notifications so we don't get distracted again. And then you can do some things with design, but we don't need to really worry about that right now. So the widget is now activated, and so now when I refresh the Leader Hall home screen, I should be able to create or see the widget I just built. So clicking on this element launched my guide. Okay, and next, if you remember, we created it here. So now it's just going to take me step by step through the guided tour. If I close it, I can reopen it by clicking this here, and it starts my guided tour. Now, if I would have picked, liberate your communication, this text right here as my widget, the trigger, had I clicked here, it would have launched my guide, and my guide would have appeared next to this element because that's the one I selected for it to appear next to on step 1. Okay, so I could have selected all the way up here the communities button as my trigger, and my guide would still start here. I just happened to, and maybe it was redundant to do so, maybe should have done it differently, but I just happened to select the same UI element to launch my guide and where I wanted the guide to appear, the first step. So I could have picked anywhere and it would have launched the guide. So that's the process to build a guide, to create the trigger, and then obviously you come in here and test it. So the next video I'll show you, I actually won't start that video until I know if you have a Mac, because if you don't have a Mac, the video I'll make is completely useless to you. So we'll stop there, and if you have any questions, maybe that's a good time for us to jump on a call and clarify anything that you didn't understand from this video. So I think for now that's a pretty good start, and let me know when you have any questions. Thanks.